Hello, welcome back to my channel and to another Plan With Me video. This week we are memory planning the week that was March 11th through to March 17th. And we are using this, no words for, absolutely incredible kit from lynnerdesigns. I think it was called, I don't know if she called it Pixie Grove on her website, but that's, like, the kit is called Pixie Grove. And I did pair it with a pink foil bundle from lynnerdesigns also. It was the foil bundle on the website that specifically went with this kit. I did buy it in two colorways, so I bought it in the gold. No, sorry, not in the gold. I think I bought it in, pale gold. But it was a very washed out gold, and I bought it in the pink, but I wasn't sure that the pink would go. And then when it came time to actually planning with this kit, I decided that pink was the way to go, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I also ventured out of my comfort zone this week and used two extenders, which I don't do a lot, so there's that. And I just love this spread so much. It's just absolutely beautiful. But I've just noticed on my Monday, you won't see it there, but something's happened and like something has gotten sticky and it's like stuck to one of my boxes, so I need to put like a little deco piece or something over that because it's actually really distracting. But yeah, really pretty kit. Really love how the spread turned out. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. There's little like details of mushrooms and like wildflowers and absolutely divine. Sidebar this week, there is a tall box that came with this kit. Can't remember if it was included or if I purchased it extra. I probably got it as an add-on, but you'll see her in the bottom left there. She's absolutely beautiful. And this kit just makes me think of my grandma, because my grandma was very into like fairies and magic and like witchcraft. She didn't practice witchcraft. She was just like, that's what she was into. She liked the idea of spells and magic and like witches and fairies and that sort of thing. She was, that's just who she was. And she told us a lot of fairy stories, and she had a fairy garden in her backyard. And I don't know, I just think it's a really whimsical kit, and I think the color palette works really well for autumn. This week is actually the birthday of my deceased brother, so I wanted to kind of use something that was magical and whimsical, and yeah, I don't know, I just think that the combination of the idea of magic and whimsy, the color palette of the kit, and then it being my brother's birthday, I just thought that this was the perfect kit to use for this week. My sidebar, I think that's where I was talking about before I got sidetracked. But yeah, so I've got a tall box in my sidebar, and I've got a full box, so essentially it's still 3 full boxes, because the tall box in lynnerdesigns kits is essentially 2 full boxes combined. And then I do put my socials in the sidebar and the highlight of the week again. You'll see me like trying to fiddle with the extenders again, because I don't do them a lot. It took a lot to try and get them to work, and even now I'm looking at one, and the way that I've closed my planner, one of them, the flaps hasn't stayed in place, so I've got to retrain that back to where it needed to be. And you'll see that I ended up doing it off camera because I just showed you the little flippy flip there. But I guess with that said, let's go ahead and start talking through the plans of the week. So first things first, Monday. Started off the day by marking work. That green really does not match, but I think once everything is filled in, you can't really tell. So we're just gonna leave it. But we had work. I then marked laundry, and that I wasn't feeling very well. Don't know what that means, but I wasn't feeling well. I watched The Good Doctor. I think I was trying to binge my way through it. So I watched Good Doctor on this day. I then also watched Married at First Sight, and the Big Miracles final was on this day. So it was kind of like the season wrap up. We got to see, everyone with their babies and like where they were kind of at now. And then Guinea Pig, following on from his vet appointment on the Saturday before, needed to be hand fed. So for a lot of this year, we have spent a lot of time hand feeding our guinea pig with syringes. So we basically buy him powdered food that we mix with water to make like a paste, and we have to hand feed that to him via a syringe. and he's been on a lot of painkillers, antibiotics, that sort of thing. But the little guy just keeps on keeping on. He's very resilient. The vets love him. They actually get excited to see him now. Like when we booked him in for his last surgery, they were like, I can't wait to see him. So he's a little bit of a celebrity. But yeah, this night we were hand feeding him and giving him antibiotics. On Tuesday, I marked that it was my friend Justin's birthday. He's an American, a Texan, to be exact. So I marked that it was his birthday. I then marked work. I marked that it was a 34-degree day. So like in March, 34 degrees, unheard of. We've just come out of summer. And it's only early March, I guess. But like 34 degrees in March, it's meant to be autumn, guys. Like, what's going on? And then marked that I did some more laundry. And that because of the heat, I did have a lunchtime shower this day. I marked that I did a voiceover after work. That I watched some more of The Good Doctor. And then I also watched Married at First Sight. I currently feel like I need to like both burp and hiccup at the same time. It's probably TMI for some of you, so I apologize, but very uncomfortable. Give me a second. I'm just going to take a little sip of my tea. It's basically iced tea at this point. Let's be real. But yeah, that was Tuesday. So then on to Wednesday, where I've used my extender box there. So at the top of the day, I did mark that it was my brother Matthew's birthday. May he rest in peace. He would have been 34 this year. But he passed when he was 6 months old. So yeah, I think about him all the time. I've been told by a psychic that he's kind of trying to watch over me at the moment with all my fertility treatments. And yeah, sometimes it's just a lot. I just really wish I knew who he was as a person and what he would have looked like and kind of how he would have fit into our family dynamic, because I feel like me and my 3 brothers are all very different, but some of us kind of have the same traits. But yeah, so his birthday at the top of the day. I then marked that I had a blood test and follicle scan. See, I must have, yeah. So in my previous video, I mentioned something about starting injections, but I didn't actually mark when I started my injections. But I had a blood test and a follicle scan, which means that I was probably on the injections for a couple of days because I wouldn't have a follicle scan unless I was on medication. So I don't know whether I started them maybe... My blood test was on the previous Saturday. I don't know. Could not tell you, but I was on injections at this point. Had a blood test, had a follicle scan. I then, of course, marked that I had work afterwards. I then had to pick up the guinea pig. So, wow, I feel like I've not marked a lot. So, the guinea pig must have gone in for an appointment this day because I've marked picking him up. So, I assume he had a dental procedure this day. Yeah, it was. I do remember now. So, I went and picked him up. And because I had a blood test and a follicle scan that morning, my husband came with me in my car, so I dropped my husband to the station that morning, and then when he comes home after a day like that, I then have to go and get him from the station. So because I was picking the guinea pig up so late in the afternoon, I ended up picking him up, and then I just went to my brother's because he actually lives locally, to the station and the vet and all of that. So I went and hung at his house with the guinea pig. Then I marked that I picked up my husband. Then I marked that I was exhausted because, as you guys can imagine, I've said it before, like in my previous videos when I was in the midst of an IVF cycle, the hormones, the injections, the blood tests, the long days, doing all of the IVF on top of a full-time job because I didn't take any time off. I've considered taking time off moving into 2025, but the reality is that even if I went down to part-time hours, I would probably have more work in less days and hours than I do now. So I feel like it's less stressful to just stay full-time. But yeah, it's exhausting because, like I said, I'll go to the appointment sometimes 8:30, depends on what they have available. Then by the time I log into work, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock. Then I've got to go and pick up my husband, come home, do all of the home stuff, and then, yeah, it's just exhausting. Because of that, we did get Red Rooster for dinner this night. And then when we were driving home, my car put on a dashboard light. We ended up figuring out it was because the tire pressure dropped. So we'd gone over a pothole and that's when the light came on. And when I rang Mazda, it was because the I don't know, it had detected, they're too smart cars these days, it had detected that my tire pressure had dropped, so the dash light came on. I then marked that this night we started our second injection. So for this cycle, I was only on 2 injections as opposed to 3 injections in my January cycle. And I was on different medications for this cycle as well. But I started my second injections, and then after my injection, I went to bed. So generally, I time my injections quite late. So I usually do them at like 9:45, 10 o'clock at night. It usually helps in terms of scheduling like the surgeries and the collections when those procedures come around, because of the timing of the injections beforehand, but it's also to ensure that my husband will be at home to do them for me, because I just physically can't do them myself. And that also means that once I've had them, I can then go and have a shower and go to bed if I'm not feeling great. So yeah, on to Thursday. At the top of the day, I marked work, and then once again we had another 34-degree day, so that's twice in 1 week, twice in autumn. And yeah, I literally wrote 34 degrees in autumn. I then marked, which will seem trivial and weird to some, but my guinea pig ate all of his food, and generally that's a good thing, like especially the fact that he'd had dental surgery the day before. Like sometimes it can take him a couple of days to bounce back and use his teeth. But he ate all of his food this day, so it was a huge enough deal to mark it in my plan on. I then marked that after work I did a voiceover. I did a bit of a maths catch up because the night before, being out and about, I didn't watch it, so I did a catch up. And then this night, I think football came back this night. I think this was the first round of the season, and it was my team versus the Brisbane Broncos, and unfortunately we lost 18-28. And then I marked that I uploaded a video on that night. On Friday, I marked that once again I had a blood test and follicle scan. As always, I got some McDonald's for breakfast on the way home. As mentioned previously, because my husband came with me to that appointment, he does all the time, I dropped him off to the station. So we both got Macca's, then I dropped him to the station. Then I came home and worked. This particular day I had a support chat, which basically means there's some staff that have just been trained in like a new service, or they've had refresher training or something like that, and they need real-time support while they do the task at hand. So basically we have like an MS Teams chat, and when they have questions that arise, they pop them in the chat, and then like we deal with them. So I had that. I then got a call this week to say, or to request, that I go back to the executive assistant role that I'd been in since the previous September. So that was the role I was meant to be in it for 3 weeks. I ended up being in it for 7 months, and I'd literally just gone back to my substantive role the week before. So at this point I was 2 working weeks back into my current role. And unfortunately I did say no, because with the IVF and the nature of the role that I was in, it was just too much. The demand of work in that role, and then the demand of the IVF and how busy all of it was, I couldn't do it. So I declined. I then got a call from the clinic this day to say that following my blood test and follicle scan, that I needed to continue my meds. I marked picking up my husband, that we had a lazy evening, and that I uploaded a plan with me this night. On Saturday, I marked that I slept until 11. I mean, again, well deserved. When I'm in the midst of an IVF cycle, I don't push my body. I've learned to just let it do what it needs to do. And because the weeks are so tiring with all of the appointments, when it comes to the weekend, it might waste half of my day. But honestly, my body obviously needs it. So when I sleep till 11 a.m., I sleep till 11 a.m. It does limit what we can kind of do, but at the same time, when I'm in the midst of a cycle, I try to avoid everything. Like, I don't go to the office. I tend to avoid crowds or going out. So if I sleep till 11, I sleep until 11. I then marked that I did some filming, that I watched some Good Doctor, and that I pulled some stickers. I then had a YouTube binge, watched a movie that I didn't record, so I just left it at watched a movie. And then I did a video upload, but I haven't recorded what type of video it was. And then finally on to Sunday, I marked that I went and did my nails. Obviously, there are exceptions to when I go out and deal with crowds, such as Easter. So I went and got my nails done, and then I did some Easter shopping. We did a food shop, and then I decided to have McDonald's fries for lunch. That doesn't seem very much, but apparently that's what I had. I marked that I did some laundry when I got home, that we had a lazy evening, and then I finished out Sunday by marking that I watched Married at First Sight. And that was this incredibly eventful, exhausting, mentally and emotionally draining week. So there you have it. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. It is so appreciated. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you all soon for another Plan With Me video. Thanks again for watching. Bye!